A little over 2 years ago, the wife and I made a conscious decision to leave our life in California and move all the way out to Georgia. Now, this move was very, very heavy for us to do and hard because we were leaving behind a lot of our family. Now, moving out to Georgia was a decision we made because we were living out in apartments in California, and apartment living isn't something you want to do for the rest of your life. That's just something you kind of start out with. If that's what you're able to get, you live in an apartment. But we were living in an apartment where the rent was just nonstop going up every year, hundreds of dollars. It wasn't like a $50, increase every year. It was going up multiple hundreds of dollars a year, which was just ridiculous. And we started realizing that there had to be a better option for us than staying in this apartment that was downstairs, and we had some really terrible, terrible neighbors upstairs that we were dealing with. But thankfully for the job that I have gave me and my wife the opportunity to move out to Georgia since the company also works out of Georgia. So after a lot of thought behind it, we were looking at the housing prices out here compared to in California, which a five or $600,000 house in California is not all it's cracked up to be if you go and actually look them up. It's pretty bare bones. We had two dogs, and we wanted to make sure they had some kind of yard to play in because Zeus, our oldest, has always had the apartment life, and he's always, had a small balcony or small patio to play in, not really much area to, run around in and stuff. So we started looking at the houses out in Georgia and noticing some had some, fairly decently sized yards and front yards, and the cost of the houses were, much cheaper and actually looked a lot nicer. So it was, heavy hearted to leave both of our families behind. But ultimately, I think we had to do something for us, and we realized that it was going to be a heck of a move. We actually drove out here in both our cars, um, loaded to the brim with a lot of our stuff, our two dogs, and we also had two pet rats at the time that unfortunately since then have passed away. But we still have our two dogs, and yeah, we loaded up our cars. We had rented a trailer where they came and took all our stuff, like our big stuff, our beds and TVs and all that kind of stuff that we couldn't fit in our cars. And that was going to show up days later after we arrived here in Georgia. Unfortunately, there was so much drama that happened with that I'll probably get into in just a little bit. But overall, the move, I have to say, was very good for us and for our dogs. And I know a lot of the times when people think about moving across the country or even to another state, it can be difficult. But honestly, if it's what works for you and you think your immediate family is going to benefit from it, then do it. We don't regret it one bit. Um, we now own a house out here in Georgia, and we have about a half acre property where our dogs can run around in the back, do anything they want back there, and it's all fenced. It's all really nice, and I feel like it kind of helped our older dog Zeus, which is 10 years old, kind of gave him some more life in him where he was running around with our youngest Harley, and getting the exercise and everything that he needs that he wasn't getting living in an apartment. But as for the move, yeah, we moved in February of 2023. My wife had to say goodbye to her job, and I gave myself, I think, like 2 or 3 weeks off from work to process the move over here to get everything ready for our move out here. And unfortunately, a week before we had to move out here, I got sick with anemia, which is terrible. Having had COVID back in 2020, um, was really bad, but getting anemia was it was not fun at all. So I got that a week before we had to drive out here, and I was like, how am I gonna drive out here, across so many states with this illness? So thankfully, it only kind of was really hitting me the first day or two. After that, I started to feel a little bit better. But I really wish I wasn't sick during that drive out here. But it was awesome. I will try and find some footage right now of our drive that we were having out here, and it was really nice getting to stop at a bunch of different places in different states and just kind of see the area around. I really hope sometime in the future we can make a drive back out to California to see family and stuff, um, and kind of experience the states in a little bit more peace and not in a big hurry, which we really don't want to have to do. So yeah, it's something that I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, we can do that in a couple of years. I would prefer to actually drive out there, and we could drive out there together, because on the way over to Georgia, we were in separate cars because we had both our cars and we had to bring them out here. So it is what it is. That's how it is. But yeah, I just it's a different environment out here. That's one thing I'll say. Georgia and California are very, very different in terms of lifestyle. You know, me and my wife have lived in California our whole lives, and that's just what we knew. We didn't live in a gigantic city like LA or anything, but we lived in a town that was fairly big, and we knew all the streets. And you know what? Even in the 2 years that we've been out here in our town, I still don't really know what a lot of the street names are. It's kind of funny sometimes to even. The only one I know is the street that we live on, and that's because we have to always enter that address in for stuff. But yeah, if you're ever thinking about moving, do it in your best interest for you. We love our family so much, and we do miss them a lot. There's some times where we're just we just miss having them around, or our get-togethers that we would have. But I know ultimately this house wouldn't have been possible for us in California, just because of the rise in housing costs and the ridiculous amounts of money you have to put down in order to get a home nowadays, which was really tough. But we're definitely so much happier here, having our life in this house rather than in an apartment where you're dealing with noisy, noisy, noisy upstairs neighbors. Um, and now it is so peaceful out here and quiet. It rains a lot out here, which I absolutely love. I think it rains like 120 days out of the year. So that's really cool, because I absolutely am a huge fan of the rain. And I couldn't be happier in this environment. And this is, going to be out here for a few years. Not sure if we'll ever move back to California or not. I guess we'll see what happens down the line, but we're definitely happy out here. And if you have any questions about moving, what it's like, or anything that I didn't cover, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. I had this thought in my head. I wish I could talk about my experience moving across the country. Um, so I hope I covered a good amount of it. But so as for the house, we didn't fly out here to see the house. We just went off of what the realtor was showing us in videos and pictures and stuff. So it was kind of a blind purchase, but I mean, we fell in love with the house when we saw it, and the price point was amazing for how big the house was, and it's a perfect size for us two and our dogs. So it's not like a mansion or anything like that. But even then, a lot of the housing out here is so affordable compared to California. California is just nuts. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Thank you if you watched till the end. This is my vlog channel for everything me and my life and my dogs and my wife. Um, I do have a separate channel where I cover retro gaming and retro tech. It is called the Retro Universe. I'll make sure to link it down in the description for you so you can go check me out there. Please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate very, very much. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Bye.